I was able to do everything until I reached puberty. And then my parents shut the door.
कभी आपने ऐसा सोचा कि यार if I do this, people will think I'm a bad girl?
My downfall was that I just did. And then after I thought to myself, oh, that was probably not good. I got caught by my dad kissing him. It was bad. Definitely not a good girl moment. Not allowed to go to basketball games, soccer games, nothing. You are staying home. I was like, oh. And that's when I wanted to rebel even more because I was being held back.
When you started doing films, what were the initial few challenges that you had to face?
Bollywood boot camp is what I call it. It was not easy. One thing that my parents would always say, my mother especially, you need to be independent. Do not rely on anyone in life. I'm not like ashamed that I was not so smart growing up because of everything that's happened in my life and where I've come.
Who was your safe space growing up as a girl?
You know, that's a very tough question.
Sunny Leone on the Good Girls show. What else could I have asked for? Hi Sunny, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I am good too. As I told you, meeting you after years.
Yes.
How have you been? How
Very
are things right
Very
now?
good.
What's
Very
happening? Kya chal raha hai abhi life mein? New in terms of
So
work
many.
and everything.
So many things. Baddest Ravi Kumar just came out and it's done fairly well, which is good. And so that's been exciting. And then obviously I have all the different things that we do in our office, from cosmetics, restaurants, perfumes, like fragrances, and so many different things that happen. So it's very nice.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you could take out time and you're here on the show. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
This is called the Good Girls Show, and I'm going to begin with something very interesting. It's called the Good Girls Report Card.
Oh God, I think I'm going to fail this. I'm a bad girl on the Good Girl show.
The start of this section is called I've Been Called. What were the words that were really used for you? So you can go ahead and tick mark.
All right. Loud? Yes. Bold? Almost every day. Sarcastic? Yes. Talkative? Not.
You weren't talkative?
No.
Okay.
I did everything in secret. Girls girl? I was a tomboy.
Oh.
So I played with G.I. Joes, not Barbies. So it's never like girly girls. Dramatic? Me? Dramatic? No way. Sensitive? Maybe bossy. Maybe too much. Maybe rebel. Opinionated. And I always like to think of myself as brave.
Of course. When did people call you too much?
Well, I think, because I've done everything backwards in life, so maybe I am too much for them. So I think of it like that. But it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I just did everything on my own terms in the way that I wanted. And it wasn't something that people agreed with, or like friends or family or, close relatives didn't agree with any of it. I was too much for them. I was like the oddball out. And I would say I was loud maybe by my actions more than my speech. Because again, they didn't agree with, anything that I would do.
And your opinions.
Yeah, my opinions.
Yeah. There's another section which is called a remark that was and that you wished for. So what kind of remarks were there on your report card growing up as a little girl? Kya remarks hote the?
You know what? My mom dikhati nahi thi because they were so bad.
Acha, mom chupati thi.
She would look at it, she'd give me a look, and she'd look at it, and she'd fold it, and I said, "Can I see?" No. Why? Because I said so. I was like, okay, fine. Not the call.
So what?
I was like an average C student. I wasn't, my brother was really smart. My brother was like a straight A student. I mean, even if he gave me like 10%, I would have ended up being a B student, but I was not. And, I'm not like ashamed that I was not so smart growing up because of everything that's happened in my life and where I've come. which I'm very proud of. And the C student turned out okay, so it's fine.
Yeah, more than okay, of course. But a remark that you really wished for, as a girl, what did you really wish that your teachers would tell you or would write for you?
That I was smart, that I wasn't a dum dum. Yeah, that I was like studious and smart, and that I just got it, but I didn't get it, not at all. And I
Hmm.
didn't have, the thing that I've noticed that a lot of parents do, maybe it's here or maybe it's in America, I don't know, is that we're more in tune with our children's education now that than when I was young and my parents, were young parents. So
Hmm.
maybe because they were immigrant parents and they were working all the time, they just couldn't be bothered with my studies, which I
Hmm.
was very bad at.
Hmm.
So, for when Nisha was adopted, we had to submit to one of the agencies my report card, and I had to go dig for my high school transcripts, and
Wow.
it's not pretty. And my husband every so often would be like, "I saw those transcripts." I go, "I know, it wasn't good at all."
Was there any subject that you really didn't get and you were bad at?
So I think that the subjects that I wasn't like history, I was not interested in at all.
Hmm.
Probably math
Yeah.
and English. I mean, I like sports. I
Hmm.
loved my coach. I got an A there. That's
Hmm.
where I brought up that GPA.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for this. So, because this is called the Good Girls Show, I'm going to ask you, were you ever asked to be a good girl growing up? And what did you understand of that?
Yeah, of course I was told to be a good girl. Probably many times. I think it's more like I wasn't giving sass to my parents and I wasn't giving them a hard time, or when they told me that it was time to stop something, or it's time for dinner, or it's time to make my bed or clean up or something like that, then maybe I was being lazy or didn't want to do it, and just being a kid, and then was told to be a good girl. Maybe in those sense,
Hmm.
as like a small child, I think.
Yeah. And you grew up with a brother, right?
Yeah.
He's elder to you?
No, he's younger.
He's younger. Okay.
Yeah.
So how was that bond like? And did you feel that rules अलग अलग थे आप दोनों के लिए?
I don't know. In my house, it was more just you're getting reprimanded because of your actions. And if you're going to act out or you're going to do something that is not acceptable to them, then, they're going to say something. But I always felt like my brother had it easy. But my father,
Hmm.
he never spanked me. I never got like a chata from my dad. So if in that way,
Yeah.
it was more biased, it would have been my father was more biased towards me, and obviously my mother was more biased to my brother.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that happens, the father-daughter relationship is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just so special. How was it like with your father? Were you like could you go up to him and you really share what you were feeling? कैसा था वो bond?
I didn't have like that sharing type of like sharing your emotions. Maybe it's again it comes back to immigrant family working really hard, trying to make ends meet, and they spend a majority of their time at work
Mm.
during the weekdays, and so there was like no like time where you're like, oh, I'm feeling down or whatever. I have this feeling about this, blah blah blah. So I don't remember that, but they did spend a lot of time hanging out with us or doing things with us and our sports and different activities. Like they were present, but I don't remember us like talking about our feelings. Feelings don't exist in some. I'm like, no, I don't think we did.
What were your dreams growing up? What were your dreams as a little girl? What did you want to
Um,
do in life?
as a child, you want to do something. I mean, I feel like it's very rare you meet a child that says, "No, I just want to be a doctor," or "I just want to do this in life." I was a child that wanted to do something different every week. But I will say that when I was very young, is where I got the taste of being an entrepreneur. So my journey started when I was very young, selling lemonade, or after a snowstorm, I would tell my brother and another friend, I go, we're going door to door and we are going to shovel people's driveways and make money, and we'll split it 3 ways. And we always wish for a snowstorm because then we would make. I mean, it wasn't a lot of money. I think the most we ever made was, it was like $3 because we got 3 people to say yes to pay us to shovel their snow. But I was a kid that went door to door selling things to make money for school uniform or stuff like that. So even in my teenage years, I used to deliver papers. I tutored children. I babysat children. I worked at my first job, and that was before you could legally have a job in the US, which is, I think it's 15 years old. So I did all these other things to make money on the side so that if I wanted, I don't know, I wanted to buy school lunch, or if I wanted to buy something for myself, I at least had that money to do it. So I've been doing that, since I was a teenager, young.
Yeah. Every time I speak to a woman about this, and when I ask her कि अच्छा ऐसी कौन सी चीज थी that you would do, and before doing you would feel like if I do this I will be a bad girl. I think in the Indian household and setup there are lots of different things, right, that come like अगर मैं एक लड़के से बात कर रही हूँ तो लोग सोचेंगे I'm being a bad girl. If I'm drinking, people will think I'm being a bad girl. If I'm wearing a short skirt, people will think I'm a bad girl. So
Yeah.
all sorts of stories. What was it like for you? Did you have कभी आपने ऐसा सोचा कि यार oh if I do this people will think I'm a bad girl?
I think my downfall was that I just did. And then after I thought to myself, oh, that was probably not good. I was probably being a bad girl because I got in trouble or I got caught. For me, I think it was always like the thought of bad, like being bad or a bad girl or defying my parents. The thought came after I did something. I remember like growing up, there was one boy at one of my auntie and uncle's house, and I thought he was so cute. And my friend had given me the number, and I called that boy's house, and I got in so much trouble. I was very young. Maybe it was like 12, 11, 12 maybe, 13, something. I was young. And yeah, I got in big trouble for that. But I didn't think at the time. I was just like, oh, he's so cute. Let me call him. If we all thought if I do this, I will be bad, we might not do it.
Absolutely. Right. So then after that, you were like, Daat padi thi, you were scolded. What exactly happened? Just because you spoke to a guy?
Well, now my family knew I called that boy. Then my friend's family knew that I called that boy. That boy's family knew that I called him. It was a trickle effect. Now 3 Indian families knew that I called the boy as bad news.
Were you able to actually, do all the teenage stuff, which is like sleepovers, nights out, all of that?
Yeah, I was able to do everything until I reached puberty, and then my parents shut the door. Like, no more going out. Not allowed to go to basketball games, soccer games, nothing. You are staying home. I was like, oh. And that's when I wanted to rebel even more because I was being held back.
Yeah.
And but I did do all the sports. I did enjoy like grade school friends, sleepovers. I played a lot of sports. So it was nice. It was a nice childhood.
Yeah. When you started doing films, when you entered the industry, what were the initial few challenges that you had to face?
Bollywood boot camp is what I call it. And it was not easy.
Yeah.
There were so many challenges. First, I had to learn this script that was written in Hindi, and that was challenging. Also, the different ways that people do business here is completely different than the US. So that took a while to understand. How the wheel is turning, no one knows, but it's going. And if you're late, then you're not going to be on the wheel,
Have you been able to like really make a very good friend in the industry? Who's your closest friend in the industry?
My really good friends, the people that I would call like at any second of the day, they don't work in the industry. So I think like, I don't have that relationship with people within the industry. there's people that I know, there's people that I'm friends with that I like, but not like, hey, I'm having a problem. Can you come over?
Mm.
So people that work in entertainment were like, we don't always have so much time to like
Yeah, to
sit
catch
and
up
meet
and
and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about female friendships because I think for every girl, for every woman, that's such a beautiful, important part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
How important are your female friendships for you?
They're very important. And I think that spending that time with, different females, mothers, or, business people, the people that I hang out with is extremely important because there's things that you're going to talk about with your friends that maybe you might not want to talk about with your husband or your significant other,
Yeah.
or there's just like this level of understanding that okay, I'm totally normal because she has the same problem as I do, and I think that's when you meet like-minded people and really enjoy each other.
Yeah. I feel like my female friends are truly like my support system.
Yeah.
Every time I feel like the world is crumbling, every time I feel like I am crumbling, I just know that they're there. And sometimes I may go on for months without meeting or talking to them, but then I know that whenever I catch up again with them, it's going to be the same. It's going to
Yeah.
be where we actually left from.
So that's why when you find like your girl group and your girl gang and your people, you just hold on to them because nobody else matters.
Yeah. You are a mother also, and you have a beautiful daughter, and you have two sons, right? How are you raising your daughter, and is it any different from the way you were raised as a girl?
I think that parenting in 2025 is completely different from when, you know, uh, my parents were raising us as small children. The demographic and the whole situation is obviously different as well. So I also feel like, based on other people that I've met and other parents and families, that the parents, um, at least that I've been around, are so much more in tune with. How they're parenting their child and how they're raising them and their studies and how they're helping them and their tuitions and so many different things that my parents definitely did not do for me. And with Nisha, she is so intelligent and so smart. um I always tell Nisha, which is the most important thing to me, is I don't care about your grades. I just need to raise a good human being. So I can help you with your studies, but it cannot help you to have empathy. And I can't like help you be a good human being. I can teach you these things, but it will be your job to apply those teachings to your life and how it affects you. And and she does, and it's amazing. She's like, her school or her section's like a team captain, and it's really great because she saw like bullying one day and she applied those teachings of everything that we've taught our kids about bullying and keeping your eyes and ears open, and if you see something wrong, speak up. You must speak up. And she did that, and it was really nice to hear from that parent that said Nisha did like such a nice thing and
Yeah.
really stood up for somebody in class. And remind you, she's teeny tiny. She's like the smallest one in her grade, but I'm happy that she has the biggest voice, and
Yeah.
that's some of the things that are so important to us, is that what kind of human being are you?
I'm sure you're teaching Nisha everything, right from what is a good touch to a bad touch,
Yeah, I do
because
that.
that's so important, right? Were you, as a girl, taught that?
No.
Did anybody
No.
speak to you about that?
No one talked to me about the birds and the bees. No one. I learned about the anatomy of a male and female at school, and that was it. No, that didn't happen at all. That was not something. I just got that boys are bad. You're not talking to them, and they're not allowed around here. You're not allowed to have a boyfriend. You're not allowed to do this and that. And that was that was as far as it got.
Yeah.
But I think like that would be one thing that I would want to keep that channel open with my
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and I would want to know what's happening, even if it makes me uncomfortable. or if it's something that maybe I don't agree with, I would definitely want to have an open conversation. We try not to do a lot of these like gender.
Girls and boys, and
Yeah, and
yeah.
even if one of my boys comes to me and says he wants to do something that maybe might seem odd to somebody else,
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. Like my son left me a message today saying, "Can I put a star using this makeup on my face?" I said, "All right, cool. Go put a star using Nisha's makeup." And today they were supposed to go to a birthday party, and instead of going to that birthday party, they said, "No, we want to hang out with the girls." I'm like, "All right, hang out with the girls." Like, what am I supposed to? I don't want to tell them that. Well, you should go hang out with boys and let the girls hang out with the girls, and leave them alone, or don't put makeup on your face,
Yeah.
because that's not accepted in society for you to do that. But they're having fun. It's like they're 7 years old. They're not looking at it from a gender point of view. They're looking at it
Absolutely.
as, oh, I can get messy right now, put a star on my face, and pretend it's like some tattoo, probably like their daddy. And I don't think that their way of thinking is like whether it's for male or female.
Yeah. So I think creating safe spaces for children, I think, that's so important. And
Yeah.
I think that is what, you're also trying to do as a
Yeah, I
parent.
think I have a picture of Noah putting like makeup on one of Nisha's friends.
Yeah.
It looks like that, anyways.
Who was your safe space growing up as a girl? Who did you feel the most safe with?
That's a very tough question. Probably be my friends. Yeah, probably my friends, because I couldn't tell my brother anything. He would tell my parents if I was doing something wrong. So probably them.
Yeah. And what did you feel the most judged for as a girl?
I don't know. These are like tough psychological questions. I have a lot of baggage. I think it was because I was not necessarily outspoken, but my actions were not of like a normal young lady, so
Okay.
my actions were, I'd play with GI Joes. I didn't play with Barbies. I was playing street hockey with the guys, also beating them up a little bit. I would do all these other things and always want to be outside the house and independent. So I guess it was that. Like, it wasn't like a homebody, studious young girl.
Yeah. Did you have any role model growing up? Like my sense of my want and my need and my ambition to be independent really came from my aunt, and because I saw her as the first woman to really complete her education, and she also did post graduation. So I was like, मुझे मेरी बुआ की तरह बनना है यार, like I want to be like her. Did you have a role model like that who inspired your sense of independence?
I mean, my parents always growing up would say you have to be independent. And I think because they were an immigrant family coming from here, that they saw that if you weren't independent, that life was just very difficult. And one of the women companies that I worked for was like a tax and retirement firm. And the owner of that firm, I looked up to. And I always wanted to be like her. I wanted, from everything from her shoes, the way she dressed, her hair was perfect. She walked into the office, everybody was like at attention. And when I saw that, and her whole office was all women, it was great, except for one male agent, but with his wife. So, and they were barely there. So it was all women in this one place. And I would watch her go to her Christmas party, see her house, her cars, her everything, and that she was so smart and so successful. And that's where, that inspiration started from.
Yeah. When we talk about the so to call the good girl conditioning, saying no, that is something that I have really had to like work on. Have you been able to say no when you like really wanted to, or did you also struggle with that? Ki nahi yaar. I mean, did you have to sort of develop that, or were you always able to say no to things you didn't want to do?
Yeah, I said no and then I got in trouble. um, I think with the no also came personal opinion and words that probably were not like so soft
Hmm.
that, people get offended. So yeah, I've said no a lot in my life. It's gotten me in trouble.
Do you have like an advice? Do you have like a tip on how do we exercise this habit of saying no more often?
I think if you put into perspective that what's going to happen if you do say no?
Mm.
What's the consequence of you saying no? Maybe you don't get that job. All right, fine. It's a huge world out there. You will get another job. That I promise. Or you're not going to get a promotion. You're not going to be emotionally abused or physically abused. Yeah, so you should say no and you should fight. I know it's very difficult, but if your gut is telling you no, then you have to go with that gut. One of the most amazing things about being a woman is that, that sixth sense,
Yeah,
or
the
that
instinct. Yeah.
that instinct that maybe this is a bad situation. And I think if you can be wise enough to realize that if I say no, I'm going to get myself out of something that I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah.
And you should go for it. Who cares? Like, life is amazing because we're so resilient as human beings that just because that door closes, it doesn't mean another one's not going to open.
Another important thing is asking for money. Asking for the money that you think you deserve. Have you been always able to do that?
I don't think that negotiations are a bad thing. And if you feel like you deserve XYZ more, just throw it out there. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no. Well, you had nothing to begin with. So, you only have, up to go in life. And
Yeah.
Even if they give you like a little bit more, you're like, all right, cool. Well, at least I got a little bit more.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're qualified and you deserve that job, then you should definitely go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. We will just finally end with this fun game. It's about the firsts in your life.
Oh, God.
Okay.
This is going to be bad. I know. Oh, my first heartbreak?
Yeah.
When
was it?
My first year of high school, when I found out that I had to move away. And the boy that was my boyfriend was very sad. And he was such a sweet boy.
Oh, so, but then you were not able to be in touch with him after that, obviously?
No, like we did. And then, he was so sweet. He like wrote me a goodbye letter, and he gave me this cute little ring, and he was so sad. And it was like, puppy love. I got caught by my dad kissing him. It was bad.
Oh,
that was
no.
Definitely not a good girl moment.
Thank you.
And all I heard from down the hall at school was, "Go, go!" I was like, no, my God, my dad just got me kissing a boy.
That used to be a big thing. वो डर, actually this डर was real. That अगर मुझे किसी ने देख लिया,
yeah,
तो फिर क्या होगा?
And I got caught by my dad. And that whole truck ride going home was silent. Was the worst.
Oh my God. Okay, should I pick for you now?
Okay.
Right, and then, okay. First relationship.
That was it.
That was your first relationship. Yeah, and the first heartbreak too.
He was a boy, he played basketball, he was so cute. He left me notes in my locker.
Yeah. Okay, your first rebellion moment.
I think it's like probably me saying that I wanted to like go out with friends and, went out anyways without their permission. Going out my window.
Oh my God, like full filmy.
Yeah, it was not good.
Wow.
I feel really bad for my parents. If they were alive, I definitely would apologize for being an ass.
Yeah.
First time asked out for a date. That was him. That was my boy. First everything.
So,
not everything. I mean, like, cute.
So he asked you out, right? But have you ever asked out someone on a date?
I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
Maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
I can't now. It's too late. I'm married. Daniel will be so mad at me.
Okay. Your first crush. Who was your first crush?
Michael Jordan.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And
I
how
loved it.
old were you when you had a crush on him?
I was young. I was maybe, I don't know, like 10 years old or something. I put his poster up. And then I got to meet him one day. And I was so happy.
What a moment.
I know. It was.
Okay, your first friendship breakup. Have you had a friendship breakup?
Yeah, I did. It was like a friends, like our families were friends growing up. And the daughter and I were best friends. And then, yeah, she broke up with me.
And you like, did you guys try to mend things? Because
No, she was mad at me because of my life choices. So I'm not going to feel sorry for that or feel bad for that. So I said, okay, fine.
yeah,
It's okay. I'm
yeah.
all right with it. I learned a big lesson.
Last two. Okay, your first kiss. I think वही जिसके लिए पकड़ा गया था, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my
Like
God.
when you think of like first kiss or first like puppy love and like, that was it. I was in, ninth grade,
You know,
ninth standard.
when you actually fall in love for the first time, you feel like this is going to be it. Yeah, this is it. This is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And then reality comes
Yeah, I
in.
know. He kissed me right after Romeo and Juliet, a school play on the bus.
Wow.
It's so random. I remember this, but I can't remember math.
Okay, and last question, which I think is also very important. First period.
I was 13,
Hmm.
I think. Yeah.
And did you know anything about it? Like,
No,
were you?
my mother told me nothing. Like, not like when I mean nothing, she told me nothing. It was so difficult.
Yeah, actually, for most girls, it is, right? Because we're not really told anything, and then suddenly one day you feel कि क्या हो गया मेरे साथ?
Yeah, exactly. That's why with Nisha, I'm like, all right, if all this is completely normal, it's gonna, like that doesn't have like such important crazy questions yet, but like she saw like a sanitary pad commercial because it comes on YouTube or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, what's that for? Because they show like liquid pouring. They're like, what is it? It looks like a diaper.
Yeah. And now at least they've turned that color to red. Before they would show blue.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Pellet blue liquid. So I would think that
I didn't see the ad that she saw, but she asked and I just gave like a very generic biological explanation, and it's like it's not a big deal. It just happens. You'll be fine. But I don't think obviously she doesn't understand. She's 9 years old. That time has not come yet. But if I approach it in a more systematic way and not such a like bad emotional way, then it won't be like such a big deal,
Yeah.
Like it is a big deal for a young girl to enter into this phase of her life, but really just I think if I give her more information and be there for her, it won't be like so dramatic.
Yeah, like was it difficult for you to navigate yourself because you had no
Yes.
information?
Yeah. If there was a camera back there, I would have made millions off that movie. Millions. On all the comical weird errors of being a young girl in a Punjabi household that had no guidance at all.
Yeah, and even school does not really help much, I feel. I mean, I don't know how was it
Yeah,
like
they
in the
gave
US.
us like sex education and because it's America, so they
Yeah.
I don't know what they do here yet.
They don't do anything.
No,
There's
that's
just
so
one
sad.
one chapter which is called the reproductive system.
Yeah, I
Isn't
did
it-
that too.
Just they tell you what organ is, but bus. There's nothing else that you
Oh, yeah.
really.
Our
thought.
school went a little bit further on like protection and all these different things. So yeah, that was there. But looks like Daniel and I will have to be the teachers.
Yeah.
Not fun. But have to do it with a smile.
Before we end this, I have just one last question for you, which is you've spoken so much about your parents. What is that one advice that they always gave you, or what is that one memory that you will always remember and cherish the most?
One thing that my parents would always say, my mother especially, was you need to be independent. Like maybe on a daily, I would hear this. And they would always say, you need to be independent. You cannot count on anyone. Do not rely on anyone in life. You do your own thing. You be independent. You make your own money, and be able to survive on your own. And I don't know why they had this fear in their head, but you know, it just was there. I don't know why, but I do appreciate that advice because it did make me, hearing it over and over again, did make me independent. It did make me be able to live on my own, do my own thing, and be able to take care of what I needed to take care of on my own.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sunny, for taking our time and for being on the show. We are right here, trying to speak to girls and trying to tell girls that it is just okay to be yourself. So I think it'll be best if it comes from you. So one advice that you would give to the many women and young girls who probably would be watching this conversation.
My advice to you would just be to be yourself, and it's okay to say no to something. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to pivot and move a different direction. Maybe it's not a direction that your family has chosen, but it's a direction that you want, and that's what's most important.
And what will you tell the little Sunny if she comes right in front of you?
Put a seatbelt on. It's a bumpy ride. But you're going to be okay. You're going to survive.
How cute. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have something sweet for you.
Aw.
I have a sunflower for you.
Oh, thank you. I love sunflowers.
Because I just feel that women should give women flowers. Why
Aw,
not?
that's so nice. Thank you. I
You like
appreciate it. I love it.
Last time, किसने आपको दिया था flower?
Daniel and the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does that often?
Yeah, he does. He's good. He's sweet.
He's good.
He's a good boy. He's got a good girl and he's a good boy.